Hello, my name is Izzy Brandine, and for my final presentation, I will be discussing hybrid warfare and propaganda. So, firstly, what is hybrid warfare? Hybrid warfare is a military strategy that employs political warfare and then intermixes conventional warfare with examples of fake news, the presence of social media, and propaganda. Now, what is propaganda? It is information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. So here on the right is just a quick example of a piece of propaganda that we saw back during World War II, I believe, where they were just trying to get Americans to enlist in the war. And this essentially shows a big beast ruining the culture and taking away women. So this was supposed to promote American men to want to join the army and protect their women. So one of the main countries that made hybrid warfare what it is today is Russia. So Russia most infamously used hybrid warfare during the 2016 US election, in 2014 while trying to infiltrate Donbass, and while in their fight with Ukraine. Russia used hybrid tactics like spreading misinformation, conducting cyber attacks, and applying economic pressure. This unconventional way of warfare took NATO by surprise, and in the mid-2000s, NATO essentially claimed at this point in time they are prepared to defend and fight against these new hybrid tactics. So the moral method I chose to discuss today is consequentialism, which focuses on outcomes, results, and consequences of the topic at hand. Right and wrong is determined by the results of the circumstances, not by specific rules or obligations put in place. And then within consequentialism, the most popular ethic is utilitarianism. So, what is it? Utilitarianism is defined as the actions are right if they are useful and benefit a majority. This ideal assigns positive and negative values to certain circumstances, and then the person at hand or group decides the best possible outcome based on those positives and negatives. The overall outcome is to have the maximum amount of people happy and for as many people as possible. So as you can see in the image, a train is going towards 5 tied up people on a train track, and one man pushed the other man to stop the train. So this is essentially showing that the maximum amount of happiness is achieved for as many people as possible at the expense of that one person's life. How does it all connect? The use of hybrid warfare does not consider the moral well-being of all those involved or consider the maximum amount of happiness. Hybrid warfare consists of using harmful propaganda, social media articles, and political interference to help the ones using this warfare succeed. These tactics can ruin lives and reputations in seconds, which is exactly what we saw during the US election, where the controversy was that Russia took over the polls and that it was rigged. More specifically, many of just the propaganda tactics used in war is misleading and harmful towards the enemy, like we saw in previous slides. In the eyes of the Russians specifically in their role in the US 2016 election, this controversy during that time is still discussed to this day. It not only affected the millions of Americans, but did not consider the happiness and moral well-being of the masses, which in this case would be the American voters. Is it morally right? Because of the ideals of consequentialism, I personally do not believe the use of hybrid warfare is morally correct. Due to the fact that consequentialists believe that moral decisions are made by the rights and wrongs presented in the situation at hand. In the instance of just propaganda, the rights and wrongs are not even considered. The destructive and sneaky manner within hybrid warfare shows the lack of consideration for the outcomes and consequences. Because of that, and the outcome of this warfare not holding any moral standards due to its destructivity, it is not morally correct based on consequentialism. And that was my presentation. Here's just some examples of some current propaganda that may have been posted during the pandemic, which once again does not consider the rights of the masses, because here we have a woman who is eating ice cream and watching Netflix by herself to show, oh, women should all be doing this, but that does not consider the feelings of women, because what woman wants to be portrayed like this? So this is just a little current example that I feel would work perfectly with my argument. And then here's the reference I used. Thank you for listening.